Tonight, I'm going to do a tier list for the Hero League Championship and the Last Chance qualifiers in Orlando in just a few weeks. After that, I'm going to finish off by showing you guys my final draft, I think, of Order Hawks that I will be taking to the HLC. I'll talk through some of the decisions that I've made. I've made quite a bit of updates here. As a practical matter, this will be my final video for the last 2 weeks. I have one that I'm pre-recording that will be going up on Sunday, I believe. You could probably guess which one that is. But for just me talking and making videos that I like, this will basically be the last video until the Hero League Championship. I'll be leaving on Thursday to go to Disney World with my family the week before. And so this is it. And I'm basically packing up my deck tomorrow. Might make a few changes like at the scene of the venue. I'll probably come on Friday to hang out with everybody at the Last Chance qualifier and just play games with, and anybody who wants to play, I will be down to practice pretty much all of Friday. So come and find me and let's play some games, because basically for the next 2 weeks, I will not be playing Universus and I'm going to need all the practice I can get that Friday. So I'm pretty much locking in my choices right now, but let's jump straight into it. My tier list for Worlds. I've got 3 categories here: event winners, people that I legitimately think can win the Last Chance qualifier and win the HLC, characters that I think are contenders. Like, these are characters where I wouldn't be shocked if they made it in through the Last Chance qualifier. I wouldn't be shocked if they were in the top 4, top 8 of Worlds, but I would be mildly surprised if they actually won the event. And then characters that, if you're playing in the Last Chance qualifier or at the HLC, you just need to be prepared for these characters. You're probably not going to see tons of them. They're not going to be the most consistent at the top tables, but you will need to know your matchup. And I'm only going to put about 20, 25 characters up here. Everybody else, as a practical matter, you won't see. Or if you do see them, you'll see them one time. It's not enough to where you need to be play testing the matchup ahead of time. You only have so much testing that you can do before an event. And so I'm going to show you the characters that I think you should really focus in on. Let's start with the event winners. I think we can just go ahead and put Jiro. Let's zoom in here. I'm way zoomed out. It's going to be hard for me to find characters now, but that's all right. Let's go ahead and put Jiro in the event winners tab. I think she's the best. We got a lot of 6-hand size aggro characters with Jetburn. Doesn't matter. Jiro is still the best of the best when it comes to that. Jiro got a ton of new tools at her disposal, especially Falling Skies. She got the 1-diff 4-check that you can discard Arrival Momentum, or you can draw a card that's very strong. I made an entire video on Jiro's final form. It was like a month and a half ago. Go check it out if you haven't checked it out yet. But this character, extremely, extremely strong. Also is basically the primary reason, one of the main reasons that I feel comfortable taking Hawks to the HLC is because I think Hawks has a really strong Jiro matchup. And let's go and grab Hawks. Where is my guy? Here he is. I'm putting him straight to the event winners. I legitimately think that Hawks could very easily win the event. He requires a lot of practice to play, but again, I think he has a stellar Jiro matchup. He gets to early game swap the jolts. He gets to swap the zero gravity lifts, take 0 damage from those. Late in the game, he'll just zero out a double jab pummel or a home run comet. He gets all sorts of speed control. Heroic Lineage is great for flash moves and getting speed control against those. In my testing, I felt really comfortable here, and that is why Hawks is there. And I really don't think Hawks has many bad matchups. I'll get into one. Let me show you a bad matchup real quick for Hawks. Let's go grab Todoroki. Okay, I hate this guy as Hawks. He seals all my good stuff, and he gives speed and damage in proportion to each other. I think this guy's insanely strong right now. However, he hasn't been as popular as the other Jetburn characters up until this point. We saw Andrew Porat, I believe, make top cuts at the December event, but we didn't see, he wasn't in the top 5 characters being represented at the Winter Clash or this last January event. I'm just not sure he has quite enough popularity. When I'm doing this tier list, it's different from my other tier list where I'm just ranking strength, right? In here, I'm not putting, for example, let's go find like Fourth Kind. I think Fourth Kind's really strong at the moment, but is anybody going to be playing him? Right? Recovery Girl, strong, but are there going to be more than 2 Recovery Girls at all of the Last Chance qualifier? I don't think so. Maybe 1. Momo 1, if I could find Momo. Yeah, I think Momo is still a top 10 character in the game strength-wise. I don't think anybody's taking Momo. I think we've very clearly seen that everybody's playing Jetburn characters right now. And so naturally, you need to be ready for Jetburn characters. And when I'm making this kind of tier list, I'm thinking of strength and I'm thinking of popularity. So Momo isn't going to make this. She's not even going to make it into the Be Prepared section because I just don't think anybody's going to be playing her. Maybe I'm wrong. But let me put the other 2 characters that I think are event winners up here with Jiro and Hawks. Of course, we have the latest boogeyman of the meta in Shigaraki 3. This character has been crushing it, especially William Howard taking down his last event, taking top 4 at the Winter Clash. He saw quite a bit of play. He was the number 1 played non-Jetburn character at the January webcam event. He's a lot of fun to play. Everybody loves drawing cards, messing with your opponent's checks. He is a kind of a nightmare to play against once he gets his stage established, to where he's got like the free blocks with that 3 diff. He's got the one that where he flips and you get minus to your check for every check you've made that turn, basically just saying he gets to freely say goodbye to an attack. He gets quite a bit of defensive. He can just work up this very defensive stage and play the game on his turns, and he'll always have cards to do things with. And of course, you've got Barrier Shield. Now you have Fierce Wings. Just a very, very strong character at the moment. And my last character that I'm going to put as an event winner is Tamaki Amajiki. I think this guy is crazy strong right now, and I do think he'll see some representation. We saw 2 Amajikis at top 16 in the January event. We didn't really see a single Amajiki at Winter Clash, but I think this character is coming back in a big way. The 60 card, taking the card minimum deck size from 50 to 60 is a big deal. Banning Back Alley Haymaker and Capture Evildoers really gave this guy a boost. Basically, Amajiki, Shigaraki, and Hawks all have something in common, and that's that they are playing the game more than you're playing the game. And they just get stronger and stronger as the game goes on. The more and more momentum this guy builds up, the better and better he becomes. Shigaraki is always winning the mill game. Hawks becomes just a crazy 8-hander with tons of deadlock. All of these characters feel like they get stronger in long games, but they also can survive at the beginning of games as well. Amajiki, just every time I play a very experienced player in Amajiki, I leave that testing session feeling very, very impressed and very nervous about playing this character. To me, these are the 4 event winners. We've got Jiro as the best of the best aggro. I just don't think any other aggro character can really compare to Jiro at the moment. And so Jiro has to be at the top. And then Hawks, Shigaraki, and Amajiki, personally, I believe, are the best control characters at the moment, each in their own unique style. But yeah, they just play the game more than you play the game. And that is that. Let's see, event contenders. And on this event contender, I'm going to put a lot of the other like aggro characters that I just didn't feel like I could even put on the same plane as Jiro. Right, the first one, of course, okay, well, I see him right here. Let's put in Mirio. I think Mirio is extremely strong at the moment. He did not get that much weaker. Again, I went on a whole thing on this when I was reviewing the January webcam event deck lists. He did not get that much weaker. He didn't care about Back Alley Haymaker. Capture Evildoers, fine. But now he just gets to put in like Destined for Mainstream Success. You could just take the list I ran at Nationals, add in some like more Texas Smashes, Calorie Counters, Heroic, Strike, not heroic strike, the stun one for like every punch in your card pool. I don't know. Add in some things. I think he still can just absolutely annihilate people. Phantom Threat is one of the most unfair cards in the game. It's just that it pretty much only works to its full utility with Mirio. But Phantom Threat in no way should exist with Mirio, in my opinion. Way too strong. Endeavor 3, we have seen this character. He's been extremely popular. Like if we were looking at the strength and popularity graph, Endeavor 3 is like super popular. You will need to prepare for this guy. I wouldn't be surprised if if you're playing in the last chance qualifier, I wouldn't be surprised if you played 3 Endeavor 3s, to be completely honest. He's very, very popular, and he's really, really strong. We saw Ryan get second place at the January event with him, using this like flip strategy of seizing the advantage, calorie counter, and the 2-check. Yeah, this guy's kind of a menace. If you're not ready for him, you either have to like kill him early because he doesn't have defense on face and he's relying on his health, or you have to establish a stage to survive his kill turn. But his kill turns are nuts. He's adding 2 speed to everything. He's picking whatever he wants from his removed from game pile. If you build into Deadlock, plus Ultra Prominence Burn has insane Deadlock. It's like Vile Seizing, right? Plus 2 speed to everything. So building into Deadlock, you're not really allowed to do. He gets all these 2 speed. He's going to stun you like crazy with plus Ultra Prominence Burn. He's going to flip all of your best defensive stuff in like turns 2, 3, setting up for that big turn 4. So you have to kill him early, but if you kill him early, if you're attempting to do that, you're wasting your resources, right? And, you're throwing out attacks instead of getting solid builds, and then you're not going to be ready for his backswing. If you just prepare for his backswing, you might not be ready anyway. You might die anyway. It's very interesting when I play him as Hawks. I find myself I have to live through one of his kill turns. And it's very hard to do. It's very hard to set like Hawks. I have been feeling like nobody can hit me, because he's so defensive. But Endeavor 3 can just find ways to pound through the walls that Hawks builds up. And he can do it with any of these, defensive characters. He's just, giving everything +2/+3 and letting this guy pick an attack from his removed from game pile, and he gets one of the best Deadlock enhances in the game. I could put him as an event winner, but I just think Jiro's the better stat stick character. That's where I'm at with that. Let's go find someone else who's like an event contender. I'll put Mount Lady 3. I'll do 2 of the lurkers here. Mount Lady 2 has been seeing quite a bit of play. Let's go find Edge Shot. Where is Edge Shot? Here we go. Coming up here, I'm going to put Edge Shot in the event contender, and I'm going to put Mount Lady 2 in the be prepared. Mount Lady 2 feels very similar to Endeavor, but less consistent. Like, they both don't really have defense on face, but I prefer Endeavors going and picking up something as opposed to Mount Ladies making something unblockable. That's just me. Edge Shot, just giving, +1, +1, +2, +2, +3, +3. Again, it's kind of similar to Shoto 4. You're giving stats on both sides. So these speed control characters like Hawks kind of struggle with characters that are giving stats on both sides. And also Edge Shot can play some sneaky strong defense in the early game to survive, to see their kill turn. The problem with Edge Shot and with Mount Lady, I'm just going to say this is a lurker's problem. Whenever I play these characters, it's like, okay, I'll hold my high blocks. Like, I know Cannon is coming out. I know 1,000 Sheep Pierce is coming out. I know, I can't even remember off the top of my head. But it's just like, man, other than Lurker Strike, it feels like every single attack is a high attack. So that is pretty beneficial to me. To okay, I will hold my highs. And now I don't even have to worry about the block zone. As long as I draw it, I'm going to be okay. I think that is a weakness. There isn't any guessing that your rival is doing on your attack zone. Okay, let's go find somebody else. Overhaul. Overhaul. I don't know. He's definitely up here. I'm going to put him in the be prepared. He hasn't been seeing quite as much play. I think he's like maybe strongest right now on the evil symbol, but if you're playing evil Overhaul, why aren't you just playing evil Shigaraki? I guess Overhaul like survives a little better against throw decks. Like Shigaraki just dies to throws. Like if Shigaraki's playing like Ochako 4 throws or like my brother has this Tetsu throw list, like he just dies. Which is funny to me that like right now in the meta, this character is so strong when he just has such an obviously bad matchup where he just goes belly up. So maybe, the reason to play Overhaul, okay, other than throws, is quite simply maximum Overhaul. Maybe one of the best attacks in the game. It's kind of similar to Phantom Threat for Mirio, and like Mirio is already a strong character, and now he's like the only character with realistic access to this broken card. And Overhaul is basically already a busted character and the only one with realistic access to this busted card. They're kind of similar in that respect. I think Earth Overhaul, people maybe gave up on that too much with Back Alley Haymaker getting banned. I think there's something there. I mean, guys, we just saw Earth Muscular top cut an event. You're telling me Earth Overhaul can't do it? Overhaul is just a better character. There is something there. Somebody just needs to figure it out. I'm going to put him in the be prepared though, because I think like if you're evil gaming, you're probably just switching to Shigaraki. And if you're, I don't know, Earth characters just if you want to play the Earth symbol, you have so many different characters that are very strong. Let's go find somebody else. Toga 3 you have to be prepared for. I don't think this is a top 20 character in the game, to be honest, but I think there's going to be a lot of people playing her, which is funny because I thought Ochako was the much better character, but I'm not sure you necessarily need to be prepared for Ochako 4 as much as you do for Toga 3. You just have to be prepared for this stun game plan. Like, stun has felt like it's left the game a little bit here lately because there's so much stun hate that people stop playing these stun decks. I mean, we saw Fourth Kind going from being dominant to just not even being played anymore. But if there is a stun deck to get prepared for, it's going to be Toga 3. I think that her secret rare weapon, the Deception Dagger, I think that is so good. That spot removal from your discard, hey, put that feather on the bottom of your deck. Hey, Eraserhead, get rid of that erase. Like, there's so many cool things that can be done with that attack. All right, let's go and grab. Okay, we got to put Tokoyami here. Tokoyami, I'm not sure how much the decks really evolved with Jetburn, but hey, the Chaos, Evil, and Fire symbols, they all got a lot of support in Jetburn. So this is probably the character that I have tested the least into, which makes me kind of nervous because I'm not confident about the matchup. But he definitely didn't get worse. I mean, I guess these stat stick 6-handers can just kind of blow him up early. But he's definitely going to be an event contender. I mean, who's going to be shocked if he gets third place? Same thing with Eraserhead. Now, Eraserhead did not get a lot with Jetburn, in my opinion. I'm struggling to think of a single card that's like, oh my gosh, Eraserhead got better. For example, when Undaunted Raid came out and we saw repeated 100% smash, it was like, whoa, this is cool. This is like, Eraserhead can make some use out of this. He's always been good at getting momentum thanks to giving all his things 2 speed. Now he can just cash in all that momentum on a repeated. He can do all of these strings. It was pretty clear that he got a lot better. With Jetburn, I don't think he got a lot better. I think if you're playing a control deck, you're probably better off playing Hawks, Shigaraki, or Amajiki. Let's just go one at a time. Mirko, again, I don't think Mirko's a top 20 character, but Mirko's fun to play. I love playing Mirko, and I promise you, if you're going to the LCQ, there are going to be at least 5 Mirko players. I would just bet on that. She's a lot of fun to play. She's pretty sneaky strong with the consistent breaker too. She does get quite a bit of disruption in her toolkit, and she can absolutely annihilate you on turn 2 with 3 foundations. So you're going to see Mirko. Asui, there has to be something here, but again, just not going to be played. So we're not going to bother. All Might 3 is kind of similar. Like, he's just kind of fallen off. Just play Mirio. Don't play All Might 3. Sorry, All Might 3 fans. But we have Vash now, you know? I just like Vash more. Ochako, we're going to put Ochako 2 in the Be Prepared category. Really strong into all these 6-hand size stat stick characters. If you're not prepared for Ochako, if you go into that matchup and you don't know exactly what to block and what not to block and where to use your resources, you're going to get steamrolled on turn 2. She is still, I mean, and she's pretty popular. There will still be players playing her. Asui 3 is going to go in the Be Prepared category. Asui 3's continued to see high representation. I'm going to put another character here next to Asui 3 because they're kind of similar in that sense. Bakugo 4. We continue to see players playing Asui 3 and Bakugo 4 at a pretty high clip, but not have success. Asui 3 is, of course, much more defensive than Bakugo 4. Bakugo 4, like, I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's just that the discard strategy still isn't quite there. Like, it's strong, but it doesn't feel quite strong enough. Asui 3, just not adding a lot of damage. Although I have a local who's been playing Asui 3, and he's been doing really well. Playing like Tongue Whip and Amphibious Ambush, so he just never has cards in his card pool for progressive. He's using like Prone to Dry Eyes to cash in. Like, have people forgotten about Prone to Dry Eyes? Like, on the water symbol, Asui 3 can give +1 damage to all of her moves that turn, and then +2 damage to all of her moves. She gets that 1 diff foundation forecheck. That's kind of crazy. If your character's committed, give this attack a speed. If you get a few of those out and you're just giving everything a speed, there's something there. Just nobody's done it yet. Same thing with Bakugo 4. Like, we saw a Bakugo 4, I think like 9th place at the Winter Clash actually was a Bakugo 4. So he's been like knocking on the door. He's been seeing high representation. Just hasn't quite gotten there. I think if you're playing aggro, you're probably just better off playing like Endeavor 3 or Edge Shot, like if you're going to go with Jet Burn. Nomu, I think event contenders. Zero Gravity Rush is nuts. Hey, 10 high 10, draw 2. It is pretty disruptible with resets or any sort of like Hawks has a natural reset, you know, so he says like make it 10 damage, and then I could just say, okay, swap it, make that the speed. And now it's 0 damage. And then you can't make your speed match your, you know, if you say match, like he's just kind of stuck there. But Zero Gravity Rush is nuts. The throw is nuts. I don't think he said, oh, he does say non-throw, but he still gets the, you're getting like on the Earth build, you're getting the benefit of Ochako 4's kit with that one that says destroy foundation, give it 2 speed. And so if you get a few of those out, also it's just crazy deadlock. You get a few of those out, Nomu's pretty soon throwing extremely fast moves. Typically, you haven't been too scared of Nomu because he's throwing out slow mids. You know, he's like throwing out hardened jab and hoping it'll hit. And you're like, all right, I'll block 7 hardened jabs. But now with that, what is it? Quick response? I think it's quick response. He's giving like 2 speed to everything. He also gets like ultra regen to draw on defense and sculpt and gain health, and he gets to build it in off of Titan Cliff. You know, just replace Back Alley Haymaker with Titan Cliff. There's Earth Nomu is extremely, extremely strong right now. Definitely belongs to be in the event contenders category. Let's look down here. Have I gotten everybody? Mineta 2. I don't know. Maybe in the Be Prepared category, but I'm not confident enough to actually put him up there. Oh, sorry, Mineta 2. Oh my gosh, look at me. I'm getting them confused. Why do they have the same background? I really don't like how they did this to like the Idas and Ingenium. Like I always think Ingenium's just Ida. I know I'm forgetting somebody. Nejire, just someday. Someday, Nejire. Someday you're going to get there. Jiro 2, yeah, definitely in the be prepared category. I don't think she's as strong as the, Eraserhead, Amajiki, Shigaraki 3, or Hawks, but she does get the benefit of having the alternate win condition for the long game. So she can just say, eventually I will win this game. Like, I loved that WWW match that when we saw Shigaraki go against Jiro, and it was coming down to like, Jiro is either going to mill out or Jiro is going to win with the alternate win condition. And it was like coming down to the wire. It was so much fun to watch. I think that was like Travis Tangeman versus William Howard. Like just two of the best players in the game going at it. It's a lot of fun to watch. Let's see. Mimic is going to be in the Be Prepared category. He got a few new interesting tools this set. Although he's a 6-hander with 25 health, kind of just dies quite a bit. And Hacker Extraordinaire is a real thing. Flipping your assets. That kind of takes down from these asset-heavy characters like Momo 1 and Mimic. I just don't think if you're playing Evil Mimic, I personally think you should just be doing Overhaul or Shigaraki. And I think that's really going to do it for me here. Let's see what we got. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 6, 4. Yeah, this feels pretty good. It's a top 20. I think this looks about right. I don't know. What do you disagree with me on? Any character down here, I don't think they're showing up more than like one copy as a practical matter. Like, of course, Carson Panos is probably going to be playing Todoroki 1 at the HLC. So maybe I should put him up here because I definitely should be prepared for that matchup since there's a chance we play each other. But is anybody else going to be playing Todoroki 1? No. As a practical matter, no. Deku 5, Mineta, like these all feel like one person could bring them. But I don't think you really need to worry about them too much. Maybe I should be putting a Chaco 4 up there. Maybe I should be putting Rappa up there. There's a lot of characters here you could argue about. But if you are going to the Last Chance Qualifier, you have got to know your matchups against these characters, especially these top 10. When it comes to this top 10, you're either a character slamming stats like Tokoyami, +1/+1 for every Summon Dark Shadow, plus the one from his character. He's ignoring progressive, edge shot, +1/+1. Nomu just slamming damage, Mirio 2 damage, changing the zones, Jiro, like you're either just or Endeavor +2/+3. You're just slamming stats, or you're a very control character. Eraserhead, Amajiki, Shigaraki, Hawks. Like, it does not feel like we have a in between in the meta right now. You're either like slamming stats or mega control. And if you're in the murky middle, too bad. And that's kind of where these characters in the Be Prepared are. They're really solid, but I just don't think they quite compare to the top 10. But in terms of popularity, you have to be prepared for these matchups. All right, that is going to do it for the tier list. Let me know where I went wrong. I probably didn't go quite in depth enough on each person's weakness and each person's strengths, but that's all right. Let's jump into my list for Order Hawks, and I'll talk to you guys about the changes I've made here since the last video that I did. Let's look at the attacks. The biggest, I mean, you can see that I've still got the Indiscriminate, the Reciprocal Burst, the Feather Storm, the Feathers, the Feather Sword Slash, but I've taken Feather Sword Slash to a 4. It's just way too important. If anybody is removing your feathers and causing them to go to the bottom of your deck, Feather Sword Slash is the way you get them back. Feather Sword Slash is copies 5 through 8 of Feather early in the game. If you find this, you immediately play it just to grab that Feather. Like, even if I'm against a deck where I know I need to keep my high block, I'm probably still playing my Slash because it's just more important to Hawks to find the Feather. So this is a pretty, like, the abilities on this are pretty heavily costed. Discard a card and commit a foundation. But also, it has this Deadlock enhance that can feel really, really key to the game later on, just allowing us to pick up a feather from our card pool to our hand. Jolt at a 3 of. Selective Committal has been so big for me against these control decks. Like, Amajiki, I've got to commit those broken psyches down. That's kind of why I haven't Influencing the Youth. I was mainboarding 2 copies of this for a little bit. I was actually mainboarding an incredible amount of Selective Committal just a few weeks ago. I was putting in like the intense stare. I was putting in that league invitation. But right now, I've kind of taken the selective committal down. I got 3 copies of Jolt. I got 2 copies of Shock Treatment, and I got 1 Engine Trouble. 2 copies of Shock Treatment, even though it's a unique, it's just that it's felt so good when it's in my stage that I want to see this, right? It's kind of similar to the new number 1. I really want to see this because late in the game, I'm going to have the momentum. This says I get to commit 2 of my opponent's resources instead of just 1. I'll use the momentum and then I'll destroy it. Sometimes on defense, this destroy, commit 1 comes in handy, especially paired with Jolt. And I can like selectively commit 2 things on defense. Most of the time, Jolt just kind of hangs out my momentum because I'm waiting for the perfect time to use it. But also it can just sometimes be the kill condition. But that wasn't a big change. I think I used to be running 2 copies of this. I've just taken it up to 3. The big change is no more Vile Seizing. Instead, I'm running Blood Moon Rending. Running 2 copies of it at the moment. Was thinking about sideboarding a 3rd, but 2 feels about right. And let me talk to you about why. Vile Seizing, it feels good, not great for the attack lineup. It wins you games in super control situations, right? You need that deadlock enhance. But I've got enough deadlock in the deck, right? I've already got Feather Sword Slash. I've already got Can't Escape Me. I've already got Hero Killer. I've already got Feather Control. I've already got Internet Sensation. There is enough deadlock here to punish someone for disrespecting me and building to a huge stage. So the deadlock didn't feel super needed. And then if you take off that deadlock enhance, Vile Seizing is just a good card. This is not like some great card. Like 1 high block breaker 1, good. 3 high 4, that's fine stats. Make your rival check a 7, get 2 damage, draw a card. Okay, so if they fail, then a 3 high 6, draw a card on a 4 def, that's good, don't get me wrong, but it's not like winning you the game. The only thing winning you the game about Vile Seizing is the deadlock enhance. Other than that, it's just a good card. Compare that to Blood Moon Rending. When I draw Blood Moon Rending at any stage in the game, it is a game-winning attack. Especially because the decks that have been giving the most trouble are these evil decks running Barrier Shield, where I play this Reciprocal Burst, take it to like 20 speed, and then they say take it to 0. My next one's going to get Breaker 2. I can use Showdown sometimes to cancel that, but that's a huge cost. Commit 2 foundations, especially when I'm using Reciprocal Burst at like the end of my string. Blood Moon Rending saying, I'll go Featherstorm, I'll go Feather, I'll go Blood Moon Rending, show me your hand. Now I know all of your block zones. I'm going to selectively remove the best thing. If you got Barrier Shield in there, I'm taking it out 100 out of 100 times. It is gone. If I look in there and all you got are low blocks, it's like, whoa, you can't full block a Feather? Well, I'm just going to go on a Feather string, right? Like, it wins me games consistently. Even when I'm not using the combo enhance, just the bottom enhance makes it a good poke. Most of the time, I'm okay, like removing 2 things, giving it 7 damage, swapping the speed and damage, responding for speed. Now it's an 8 mid 3. They're not going to block an 8 mid 3. If they do block the 8 mid 3, I'm going to make them pay. That's something I love about Hawks is like I'm consistently sending out these super high speed, low damage moves. And then my rival knows that I'm bluffing 80% of the time, right? They know like he's just trying to get a momentum and then build. I should not block that. Like I should block this. But if they do block it and they waste resources on an 8 speed poke, then all of a sudden Hawks might have lethal in his hand. And you know he always has at least 2 attacks with the feathers. So he puts your rival in this kind of like blender, like, I know I should block this poke, but I'm not allowed to block this poke. And that's what I love about him so much is you can also do that with Featherstorm, right? Swap the speed and damage, respond for a speed, give it a speed. Now it's an 8 high 4. Who wants to block an 8 high 4? There's so many. So I like Blood Moon Rending as a poke. Vile Seizing didn't feel so good that way because if your rival commits for the 7, or we have all these decks right now just checking 6s. You know, I hate playing a Vile Seizing and they say, oh, check a 6. It's like, oh my gosh, this card is not as good as advertised. But still very good. Like I've got it in the sideboard here for those deadlock matchups. Uh, if I'm playing like an Amajiki, I got to get my deadlock in here. And that's going to be a little more important than Blood Moon Rending. But 80% of the time, I've been finding Blood Moon Rending to be more successful. On the foundation side, the biggest change easily is, I've made some small changes. Like I added in a Bonds of Friendship because we have all these high attacks that are like running rampant right now. And just having access to a 1 diff 1 high block matters. It matters a lot because of feather control. Feather control doesn't say add a feather back to hand. It says add one non-action card with a printed difficulty of 1 to your hand. So if I block with Bonds of Friendship, like let's just say I'm playing Edge Shot, for example, right? I said the biggest weakness of Edge Shot is I just know to hold my high blocks. And Edge Shot can't really play around that because Edge Shot needs to be playing highs to be doing what he wants to do. And so block with Bonds of Friendship, pick it up with Feather Control, block with Bonds of Friendship. You might say, well, you only have 1 copy of Bonds of Friendship in a 67 card deck. How consistently are you really finding it? I can always Fierce Wings and go and grab it. Like Fierce Wings is copies 2 and 3 of any one of. This is the ultimate utility card. Although most of the time I am using Fierce Wings to go and grab the foundation that works best. If I'm playing Jiro, I'm going to use Fierce Wings and just go grab Can't Escape Me to build it. Because I know that canceling a double jab pummel combo enhance will be key to the game. If I'm playing like a super deadlock control deck, I'm going to go and grab Hero Killer because it's my best deadlock that I have here. That's most of the time how I'm using Fierce Wings. But if I'm using it on defense, go grab a Bonds of Friendship, Feather Control that Bonds of Friendship back to hand. It's at least something. Maybe it should just be a sideboard card, like 2 of these in the sideboard and main 2 calling for backups instead. But I like having these 1 diff low block and high block that I can pick up with Feather Control. Like if I'm playing a Mirio, who's always playing lows, I'll go re-pick up Self-Sacrifice. My other big change in the foundations is taking Hacker Extraordinaire to a 4. I know most people play Hacker at like a 1 or 2. Most of the time just a 1. I started with it being a sideboard card, and then I was like, all right, I'll put a copy in. And then it was like, okay, I'll take it to 2. All right, I'll take it to 3. And then finally it was like, screw it, 4. I want it every time. It's such a big deal to the deck. Getting the momentum, punishing your rival, saying, I play Recipro Burst as my kill card. I've got La Brava out, and I can get the 2 momentum ability off, or just drawing. Like on defense, this is better than passing the torch for me, because passing the torch is commit to draw 1. I'm not even having to commit Hacker. I can commit Hacker for something else, like to pass a check for an attack, and then I can draw something with Hacker by using my momentum, which I said Hawks gets these really, really good poke game. This is the engine of the deck. If I'm playing like Mimic, if I'm playing Evil Overhaul, like goodbye to Twisty Surroundings, goodbye to Jiro's base, just goodbye to your best assets. I'm going to flip them. It's also my way. Remember, I've got all of this deadlock, like Can't Escape Me, Feather Control, Internet Sensation, Feather Sword Slash. I can say, you're in deadlock now. I'm going to flip that asset. That's your 11th foundation. Now you're in deadlock. So feels really good in that sense too. It feels like most decks right now are running 1 or 2 very high value assets, and flipping them can be game defining. It's a consistent draw. I'm not having to commit any resources to draw. I'm just cashing in on my momentum, and it feels itself. If it's early in an attack string and I think they're going to go for lethal, I can just take their first attack, use my hackers, get my momentum, and now I'm set up, And if I have La Brava out, it's like, well, you're just dead. If I get La Brava and a Blood Moon Rending and I'm going to rip 2 cards from your hand and I'm going to copy the abilities on one of them, that's kind of nuts. That's one of my other changes is La Brava. Putting it at a 1, it's felt so good. I put it in as a 1, just kind of test it, and then it was like, I love when I get La Brava in my stage. Most of the time, just that commit for 3 speed or 3 damage on a Feather Storm, on a Feather Sword Slash, on a Feather, it's a huge deal. Most of the time, I'm not even if I have 2 momentum, I'm going to put my momentum to drawing 2 with Hacker instead. And I'm going to use Labrava for the stats. It's like, do I want to remove a card from their hand and gain the abilities? Or do I want to draw 2 cards and get 3 stats? And that's kind of what you have to juggle, your decision there. Most of the time, I end up deciding on the 3 stats and drawing 2 cards instead. But yeah, I really like it. It also doesn't feel bad to hold in your hand. It's a 1 low block. Listen, Labrava doesn't work for a lot of people, but Hawks is consistently seeing turn 6, turn 7, turn 8. And so it's nice to have these assets that I can just easily build and they gather in my stage. So 1 suited up, 1 Labrava. They feel really, really good. Labrava also just feels good with Hacker. Like, are you sure you want to attack me? If you attack me and I take that damage, I'll commit and grab my 2 momentum, and now I'm going to remove something from your hand. If I draw a Blood Moon Rending with that, that feels so good. That is living the dream right there. Is just ripping 2 cards from their hand. So Hacker feels like what the deck was missing in the past. It feels like it has unlocked the deck. It is the engine that the deck is running on. I do have 2 copies of Passing the Torch in the sideboard because maybe somebody is really messing with my momentum. For example, like Chivalrous Thief, I've gotten the sideboard for Amajiki. This feels like a huge deal to sideboard into Chivalrous Thief. In my testing, it has put in a lot of work for me when I get it out against Amajiki. I can always Fierce Wings and go and grab it to make sure that I build it. If Amajiki and I were in like this deadlock scenario and we're seeing like turn 10, chances are I'm going to draw into it and eventually I'll get it out. But basically, I can just commit, throw my feather into my momentum. No matter what, I'm going to be getting at least 1 momentum. Normally, I have a lot of momentum. And then I'm going to be discarding 2 of Amajiki's things every turn. And over several turns, that kind of gives me the advantage. I got the their Vile Seasons to come in if I'm playing a deadlock heavy deck. Maybe I should be maining 1. Maybe the answer is 2 Blood Moon Rending, 3 Indiscriminate, 1 Vile Seizing. I could see that. And I took Indiscriminate back to a 4. Just felt like too big of a deal. I love drawing Indiscriminate and Futures now on turn 2. And then people think that Hawks can't kill them early. And I go, Feather Storm, Feather Sword / Futures now, Indiscriminate Shock. Something like that. That feels a lot of fun. Number 2 Pro Hero for those decks that are sealing things or committing things. Like if I'm playing Todoroki 4. Now, Todoroki 4 can seal this, but if I get the new number 1 out, I can unseal it, and then I can use this to unseal other things. Well, I can use it to turn off like... No, because he's just going to seal it. I can't remember the responses, but anything that's going to select any selective committal. If I'm playing a deck that's like playing Electric Jolts, for example, I can put in the number 2 Pro Hero. I'm sorry, I was kind of going through my brain of like, wait a second. If they seal number 2 Pro Hero, can I use the number 2 Pro Hero response, discard momentum after you play a non-character ability that commits or seals? And I think the answer is no, but just sometimes I get these rule questions that are pretty obvious, but in the moment, I can't remember the answer. Influencing the Youth. This is basically for like those decks like Amajiki, where I can say, hey, goodbye to all the broken psyches. You had 3 of them on stage. Now they're all committed. Then I just have to take care of the requesting assistance, right? If I can use Electric Jolt to commit down the requesting assistance, then I can use Influencing the Youth to get down everything else. So 1 copy in the sideboard. Maybe I should have more selective committal in here. That's been a big thing. 3 copies of Heroic Lineage. I think in the past I was only on 2. But against Jiro, that response speed hate felt like a big deal. 1 copy of Fusion, just my 5th copy of Ice Gliding, basically, and it can give speed to Reciprocal Burst in a pinch. Yeah, and I don't think I really changed anything else. So all in all, it puts me deck stability 1.75, 67 cards, 24, 22, 21. Remember, hackers aren't really blocks, so consider it 20, 22, 21. It's kind of funny that I'm playing this character where I can switch something to high, and yet the high block zone is my worst block zone. And maybe that's a reason Vials should be in here. But Blood Moon Rending, game-winning card. Vile Seizing, good card. And I want to play, like, every single one of these attacks is now a game-winning card. Feather, you kill them so many times on Feather Strings. This is your ultimate. Speed Hate from your hand. This is your use your feathers for your last block in the turn or to take their speed down for a switch. Electric Jolts with that selective committal wins you gains. Blood Moon Rending, removing something. Feather Sword Slash, Deadlock plus finding your feathers. Indiscriminate Shock, just massive damage dump. Reciprocal Burst is our best finisher, and Feather Storm sets everything up, giving everything a speed and saying feathers don't count towards progressive, and just randomly having powerful 2 on it, which can come in handy. So it feels good now because every single attack is a game-winning attack. I don't have any fluff in here anymore, and that's what Vile Seizing was feeling like. It was just kind of feeling like fluff. All right, so that is it for my Order Hawks list. I'll probably be making some changes, but I've pretty much sleeved it up. I don't think I'm really going to be playing again until the day before the HLC, probably that Friday. But if you are there and you're going to Orlando, make sure to come say hi and just hang out. I am really, really looking forward to it. Like I said, I'm probably going to be there all day Friday, just chilling. So if things don't go well in the LCQ, come and find me and let's play some games. But that is going to do it for me, guys. I will see you, again, one more video here coming up next Sunday, or this coming Sunday, and then I'll just see you after the HLC. Do I feel like I could potentially win? Yes. Do I feel like I could also just go 0-2? It's cards, right? It's sometimes you just get bad luck. So, I mean, there's always a chance of that. I'm going to feel really foolish if that happens, though, and I gave you guys so many Hawks updates and I go 0-2. So I'm going to try and stop saying that because I don't want to get that stuck in my head. I'm trying to think good thoughts here, right? I think I legitimately have a chance at winning. That's kind of what I like about Hawks. He feels like a nice, safe pick. He doesn't have very many terrible matchups. If I play really well, if a few things go in my direction, I can capitalize and take games. So remains to be seen. I'm feeling pretty good. I am feeling really nervous. But yeah, if you're at the HLC, I'll see you there.